All right. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Thank you for coming to meeting number 1. So right here you have the agenda of what we're going to talk about. So first off, the group norms. So basically, I just said being punctual, which we are kind of. But then treat each other with dignity and respect. Be genuine about the ideas, challenges, and feelings. Trust each other. Listen first to understand, and be open-minded. Does everyone kind of agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is there anything anyone likes to add?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so the purpose, I want to review the school vision of Irwin, and I didn't give a copy of that to you guys, but I do have it here.
Okay.
So the vision is provide students with a second chance and additional educational options so students can graduate. At Irwin Colony High Schools, we are concerned with our students' emotional, social, and academic well-being and their future. The staff will provide multiple opportunities and innovative academic strategies for students to experience success and meet the goal of attaining a high school diploma. Our ultimate hope is that students experience a rewarding life and become whatever it is within their power and desire to be. So, so with this vision, I kind of went through and just kind of like the innovative academic strategies for students to experience success. That's going to go towards what my problem or practice will be. So that's really what I'm trying to hit on too. Oh, but first, before I forget, let's introduce ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm Ruben Sicairos, history and English teacher.
Okay.
Damon Solomon, math, science, PE.
Okay. And obviously Laura when leaving this meeting. Okay. Then I wanted to look at dates for the tardies and absences. I chose first period just because I figure like those are the core subjects that we do, so math and English. And so I kind of pulled up, so I have she pulled up 2 weeks worth. So I don't know if you want to, these are yours.
Yeah, thank
Then
you.
I have mine. So I just kind of wanted to go through like, okay, how many tardies were there? How many absences did we notice? Because then so obviously EUT is what we're looking for.
One tardy, 6 unexcused. You got a lot more than I do, huh?
I have 2 tardies in 1 week and 8 absences in 1 week. And for this one, my other week I had 3 tardies and 6 absences
Okay.
in just 1 week for my geometry essentials.
I think I know. So that was the other one. And that's your first hour lit.
That's
huh?
first time. So how many did you have?
1 tardy, 6 unexcused absence.
And how many did you have?
4 tardy. 3 excused absence, 5 unexcused absence, and
So
1
for 12
just,
total?
Yeah.
For being a small
13,
site with a small class, I mean, we're kind of split down the middle for those periods.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a lot.
Mhm.
And that just seems, to have 10 in 1 week and then 9 in 1 week, that's what I came up with.
Oh, I missed 1 unexcused.
So how many is that
Or
total?
excused. Well, Jordan,
Yeah,
those are her. If she wasn't involved, literally that would have been 1 tardy, 1 excused. So it would just be 1 tardy and 1 excused.
but because of hers, yeah.
Yeah.
So with one student, it really hurts when it's a small class.
Yeah.
And when it's a small school.
Yeah, when it's only 1 student that does that, then
Yeah.
that hurts your.
So in seeing this, how do you feel it's more problematic when you have kids coming in late or not being there to have them more engaged in the lessons, getting them to kind of be involved? Because I know you take
Yeah.
kids out,
Mm-hmm.
and like how are they with you when you take them out? Are they engaged or are they less engaged?
I think the smaller class, even smaller class sizes with 3 or 4, it helps
It
even
does
more.
help?
Yeah, with
You feel
some
like
of
they're
the-
more,
Oh yeah, especially the ones that are, yeah, like, you know, they need the more one-on-one attention. So that class size, how many do I usually take? 3 or 4, don't I? Sometimes 5, sometimes only 1. But I just say 3 or 4 usually what I take, and I think that helps.
Yeah, that helps in the class that's left over too, when he
Okay.
takes out the ones that need a little bit more
oh, that
one-on-one.
one-on-one.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
Yeah.
And what happens, so like, what happens if he's not here to take out kids? Is it a lot harder for you to,
Yeah, it's hard to keep them engaged for sure, just because there are more distractions.
okay,
Yeah.
so that sounds, yeah, I mean, I wish I could do that, because I don't have the opportunity like you guys do
Yeah.
with having kids taken out, because I think I have about, I mean, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I have 14 kids in my first period, so I don't get that half go here, half go there, so
Yeah.
it's really hard for me to kind of keep them engaged also,
Yeah.
especially when it's very boy heavy.
Oh wow.
My class is very boy heavy. I have 3 girls, I think, in that class. So I'm very boy heavy, and I think that's really, it makes it a lot harder for me to kind of have my presence be there
Mhm.
with these boys in there.
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah, I mean, that's good that you guys are able to do that. So that being said, my primary practice is gonna be student engagement. So that's what my focus is gonna be on, is trying to, what ways can we get these students engaged more in our lessons? I know sometimes that's hard to do because we know the answers to things, we know what we wanna hear from them, but are we letting them do it? Are we giving them enough opportunity to do it? Are we leading them to the path of where they can be asking these questions and figuring it out without us saying, okay, yeah, so the answer is this or something like that. So that's kind of where, that's gonna be my polymer practice, so there would be some kind of, step that would have you guys do.
Okay.
But, so for, what I did decide to do was print out some articles for review for us to look at. No problem, thank you. So, if you wanna look at the articles, so the first one I found was strengthening student engagement, what do students want? So, I feel like this would be good to know, cause sometimes we may not listen to the students very much. Like, what do they want us to do? Like, some days, some students are like, you're not listening to me. I mean, I know I have that with my own children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so how are we knowing what these students want here? Because obviously they're here for a reason. They got sent over here, and so I think we need to listen to them more and kind of see what they want from us to help them get where they need to be. So I don't know if we want to just look over this and see if anything jumps out at you.
Well, the constructive feedback right there, you just talked about number 1 on the 3 out of 7, page 3.
there anything that jumps out at you guys?
Something that jumped out was the section about how, convincing kids that they can succeed. I feel like that's very relevant to us.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, the population that we have, hasn't always experienced success, so sometimes they feel like
They're
success is
supposed to fail.
impossible. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what jumped out at me too, especially with the kids we work with.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what it feels like to succeed, I think. And like, I know, for example, like there are certain students in my class where they're like, I got it, like I did it.
Mhm.
Oh, wow, that, but then I think they're so used to being like brought down that they don't want to learn, or it's really hard to get them engaged because they don't want to be wrong either.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, that's just where I think we need to show them that, yes, you can succeed, or you engaging isn't you being, gonna be wrong. You are able to do this. So, I don't know, is there anything for you, Dean?
Yeah, students want and need work that enhance their relationship with people that care about them.
Mhm.
This drives towards involvement, persuasive of their lives. So, like you said, you build a relationship with the student, they're gonna work extra hard for you because they trust you and they know you care.
Yeah.
I've noticed that too, especially this group here, this semester, like a lot of these kids now, I think have opened up a little bit more and they kind of trust you.
Mhm.
And this group, and here, this site, it's all about build a relationship and them trusting you.
Yeah.
They'll work hard. And I noticed that with you. Even the boys will just that relationship and joking around with them, having a good time. But then when you say get busy, 90% of the time they have that relationship with you. Like, oh yeah, I need to get busy.
Yeah.
So it's that's kind of the good thing. That caught my eye right here. Fostering peer relations. I thought that was something big.
Yeah, I think especially for an Alta site is very much important. If you don't have that personal relationship, these kids are not gonna,
Mm-mm.
they're not gonna wanna work for you. They're not gonna wanna be engaged with you. It could be the worst day of their life and they'll still at least do something if you have that relationship with them.
Oh yeah.
And even though they may not tell you it's like the worst day of their life, they'll still be able to at least give you something.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can tell something's wrong with them, but you're like, hey, give me something, they'll do it. But it's just, if it was anybody else, they probably wouldn't. So I think that relationship is very important for what we have here.
Oh,
because
yeah.
We need it. Okay, so there's another article, 7 ways to spark engagement.
Okay.
So it's just, there's little things where it gives you, okay, like here's some like little techniques you can do. So harness the power of mystery and puzzles. So obviously says try posing a broad question and then letting them discuss it instead of having more of a group class discussion. I think if you put the person on the spot, kind of freeze up. I know I tend to do that when it's like a bigger group. You're like, public speaking. So maybe trying that. And then pausing after asking a question and again after getting an answer. So I try to do this with the kids. I know sometimes it's like, okay, so what am I gonna do next?
Mm-hmm.
And then like not say nothing, and the kids are like waiting. Like they want you to answer it. But then sometimes you're tired of waiting, you just answer it yourself. I've learned to like not do that because especially after being like observed and stuff, that's where I kind of messed up a lot. It's like I would just answer my own question. But I think now I'm kind of always waiting for them to answer it, and I think that's otherwise they're not gonna be engaged then. Then they know I'm just gonna give the answer. So I don't know, do any of you feel like you do that though?
Yeah.
You do that?
Sometimes, yeah, because I feel like they're just kind of not engaged, so I try to jumpstart them, but then I end up catching myself finishing the whole problem. Like, all
So
right,
who's doing the thinking? Is
Yeah.
it them or you?
yeah,
It ends up being you, which is I think that's where we like, all right, well, we can't move on until someone lets me know what I gotta do next. Because they know they're just afraid to be wrong. And so I get that for my second period. They're like, well, I think it's this. I go, well, let's just try it. Let's see if we're right. Otherwise, we'll figure it out as we go. I think that's kind of where we need to put it on them more than on us. Because we know what we're doing. At least I hope so. Because I try to, right?
yeah.
So I think that's another thing that I think is something we can work on. Deeper questions, craft fewer but deeper questions. I think that's where that DOK, and I know I have a hard time with that. Do you?
Yeah.
Especially for English or history.
For history, it's a lot easier
Because
because I
that's
have
what
more
you're used to.
practice.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then like a lot of the training that I've had with DOK and crafting the
Is all-
questions have been for that.
Yeah,
But for
English.
English, yeah, kind of struggle
I
with
can
it.
see that.
Yeah, and then not only is it hard to come up with the questions, it's hard to get them to think in the way that they need to for,
Yeah,
subjects that I'm not less familiar with.
yeah. See, and I'm like that too with like the civics and the econ because that wasn't my subject.
Yeah.
So for math, I'm okay,
Mhm.
but for like civics and econ, I'm like, oh no. Okay, like what is this? I'm
Yeah.
easier at that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Introduce controversy, so debating an issue. So I know you do that, like you do that in your classes, right?
Yeah.
And both of them, English and history? Or more for history?
More for history. I've done it a couple times in English.
Oh, okay, how's that worked out?
It's worked out pretty well actually.
Do all the kids get involved?
Um,
Or do you still feel like?
I
you
haven't
need
done it
more?
with the sophomores. I haven't done it this semester. When I've done it, it's been with like the junior classes, and
Mhm.
most of them will get involved.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, most of them.
So the engagement happens with that. So
Yeah.
that's something positive, then that you can see that it works
Mhm.
for some. Mind the gap, the knowledge gap. So, you know, we do have that combination of kids here who may feel like they don't know the subject better than the other one. But I mean, if we can get them to kind of think more or less going into it, how they can connect it with stuff that they already learned.
Mhm.
You know, I think that helps. I know I get a lot of kids, well, what do I need this for? What do I need this for? You know, but, and some of them don't have that, they're missing that gap because they failed so much or weren't in school. Because I know that's, some of our kids like miss a year of school.
Yeah.
So that's where the knowledge gap is too. What's in it for me? Well, you know, we know they need it to graduate. They need to get out there, and then especially for math, I hear a lot of kids saying, well, I have a calculator, I can do it on there. Which means that's fine, but do you know how to put it into the calculator, what it means, what you get out of it?
Mhm.
Like, how do I know what percent this is?
Mhm.
Well, you would need to know how to set it up in your calculator to get the answer you want. Cause or like how much of a tip do I leave? Like, you know, that one worksheet. Well, I don't know how to multiply that. Okay, well then that's gonna be a problem.
They're very,
Yeah, so that's, you know, download the app for it then, but now you're gonna have to do all that.
Yeah.
But how, you can do it real quick. So I think that's where, you kind of have to give them that, what's in it. And then encourage dynamic collaboration. I do this in more of the civics econ. I know that because I do have the seniors, so I feel like I can do it more with them. Because they are, I mean, they've done in your class, so they know how to collaborate. Do you do that in your class, Damon?
No, I mean, I do a little bit of peer. It just depends on the struggling students. I'll group them with the higher student
Yeah.
is how I do it, just to build a little bit from that. But most of the time we try to make them work independent. Well, I guess the science labs would be one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where.
Oh, did they do group work? I mean,
Yeah.
collaborate? Yeah.
Yeah, they have to do that. They'll do it together, like they'll collaborate. There'll be 2 to 3 in a group,
Oh, that's cool.
so it helps.
Okay. So these are just some tips that I found. So maybe, like, if we're having a hard time with engagement, we can get the students to get more into it.
I like these.
And then wrapping up student performance. So if you want to read through that one. jumped out at you guys?
Yeah, the formative assessment, for example, an extra ticket,
Mm-hmm.
I like doing that. I like it because it breaks up my class. One thing, it kind of, for these kind of students, it's like 5 minutes of this, 10 minutes of this, 10 minutes of this, 20 minutes of this, 5 minutes of that. So it keeps them like, they're not just stuck on
Mm-hmm.
one deal. I like doing that bell work, 1-2 problems, we talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
and then my exit ticket usually is something that day we talked about or the day before, see if they
Okay.
regurgitate the information.
Yeah. And do you find that it's been working, like that they're understanding, there's a show, like
Yeah.
that they're getting it?
No, if they didn't get it that day and I keep doing the exit ticket of that same problem, they slowly get it and I do a test, then they know it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, there it is. So they do know it. It just
Mhm.
took a while to,
To get there.
yeah.
So
So,
that helps, because at least you know that they don't know it, if they can't answer it on the exit ticket, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
no, it does help. So I know a lot of the students will just, I won't let them leave. Every once in a while I'll just say, okay, no one leaves until I see your exit ticket. And so
Mhm.
they've got to walk up and show it before they can leave. Sometimes it's a bonus to let them leave an extra minute early and they're like, what? And I'm like, they're trying to get it as fast as they can. So
Yeah.
I know they can get it.
That's good.
So I like that part of it, yeah, and that's kind of what it talks about too.
Yeah. So do you do like checking, so to me it's like kind of like checking for understanding, do you do it throughout the lesson while you're doing it, or just at the end of the beginning?
I do it at the beginning and the end. I do the bell
Okay.
work and then the exit ticket.
Okay.
And so the bell is just that when they're getting in the class, they already know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they walk right in, grab a 3x5 card, and they walk to their desk, they start working on the problem.
And is the execute, so it's exactly the stuff that you worked on that day and even the day before, so,
Yeah, it just depends on, like, right now we're 2 sets equations, I'll probably have to use that as
Mhm.
bell work for a while.
yeah,
Because they're kind of not getting it, they're getting confused with the fraction part of it, not
Oh.
understanding flipping it.
yeah,
So I'm gonna probably hit that probably twice
yeah,
tomorrow, bell work and exit ticket until it just
Okay.
starts beating in their brain. And sometimes as these students here, they see 20 problems
yeah,
or they see 1 problem, they're gonna do the 1 problem and figure it
right,
out. And so I think that's easier too.
yeah,
I know like when I was a special ed teacher in high school, we do bell work and exit and it was always that. They would understand the 1 problem, but when we get onto this, they wouldn't get it. It was just too much. It was overwhelming. They looked at it, it was
Right,
like,
too
got
much.
excited, yeah. So I like that idea. And then the other part was the rubric.
uh-huh,
I like that too as well. Science experiments, I use the rubric.
yeah,
And so there's one already implemented in there, but I don't do the 5. I tell them as long as they have 4 or 3, they get an A and a B,
oh,
is
okay,
how I do it. The 5 one is pretty tough, and some of them like what they ask for.
oh, really,
So yeah, I just kind of say, okay, I kind of say, if you got a 4, you got an A, if you got a 3, you got a B. If
Oh,
you
okay.
did all that, so that's kind of my grading on the science labs. So I
Okay.
like that.
And then I know, like, using School City, did you do your School
Yeah.
City test, how the kids do on that?
I don't know yet because I need to grade. I forgot I did a discussion one. Like, not
Oh.
discussion, but the open, not a multiple choice, what was it?
Like an open-ended or response?
Open response, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Quick, or what is it called?
quick, yeah,
Constructive response.
Yeah.
There's one of them on there, they had to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and that one was only 15 questions.
oh, okay,
So I thought it was more, I thought it was 25. But
yeah.
I need to grade that.
And how did you do, so how did the rubric go, like, how was the mastery thing that you did, was it a 4 or a 5?
Oh, I need to think about what that was, because I looked at it when I did it with you, and then I totally forgot what it was after that. I need to go back and look
Yeah.
at that, because I haven't graded them yet.
Yeah,
Well, because of that part, I need help on that last part.
yeah, cause I know like I've been doing School City, like they just, so, they took a quiz last week and the highest was a 75%
Mhm.
out of, 100.
Yeah.
So to me, a lot of the kids did not master, but the questions were very challenging.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I go, what I've been teaching you, now you're really gonna have to put it into use of answering these questions.
Yeah.
So I can see that these questions were maybe too hard for them. But at 75 is good for me.
Yeah.
Cause it shows some of them were able to get it. But I don't know, how do you feel about being able to see that real quick and stuff?
I like it. I think it gives good feedback, but at the same time, I feel like it's also assessing not just this, like, for example, for history,
Mm-hmm,
I feel like it's not necessarily just testing the standard.
mm-hmm,
I feel like it's also testing their ability to understand the wording of the question.
right,
If that makes sense, and I don't
No, it
know.
does.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. Like I had some students, there was one question, it says, okay, if this angle is this much and this much, but it's rotated 75 degrees, what would the angle be? Well, it wouldn't matter if it's rotated, the angle would still be what it is. But they were thrown off by that rotation, and they were supposed to realize it's still a triangle. Whatever the angle is, it's still gonna be, it's just rotated now on the axis, and that doesn't change it. So that's where I think it kind of threw them off too. But, so some got it okay, but some, didn't. And so I think it's just like you said, the wording. And so I think that's where we need to be more in the DOK, like using those wordings and things like that.
Or when we teach it using that level of like.
Like this is really pushing to what we need them to be, you know, in the standards at least.
Cause then we have to meet the literacy standards too, and I think that's kind of what they're getting at with some of those questions.
Yeah, no, and the standard gets higher and higher, the grade level for sure on that.
Oh, yeah. A lot of the questions were at least like the high school level.
No.
Cause I was like, I'm gonna see how they do. So, but like I said, the highest was 75, so I was like, this was probably way too much for them.
But still, 75 is good.
Only two students got it.
No, I think that's excellent.
One was. So, and then I like this one right here. So midway through the activity, having the teacher pause and offer students time to reflect on how well they're being understood. You know, with if they're working individually or working in groups or something with each other, like, because you can have the kids sit there and be like, oh yeah. But are they really understanding, or are they like being confused, and they're gonna come and ask you later, oh, well, I don't know how I'm doing, like, I didn't know what to do because I didn't understand what they were doing. I think it gives you the opportunity to have them like think about for themselves, what do we need to do to make it make more sense for ourselves. And so I just feel like if we kind of do stuff like this, it may help also. And then also it says back here, designing lessons that introduce meaningful information, time for reflection at critical moments. Teachers can serve as a catalyst to spark students' ideas and insights. And then it increases the students' capacity to deepen their understanding and sharpen their skills and transfer their learning beyond the classroom. So I think that's really important for us, especially when we make our lessons, our lesson plans, that these kids, that's what we're giving to the students. And so I know I asked you guys to bring like a lesson plan for today, but I'm gonna scratch that and maybe do it for next time. Because maybe see about implementing some of these ways to see how your to engage students more. And then I know you won't be able to make it next Monday no more, right?
Oh yeah, I'm getting married.
Oh yeah, you won't be here Monday.
Yeah.
So do you want to meet next Monday and we can bring like a lesson plan to see how we can help each other?
Sure.
Put like some engagement in there. I don't know if you want to do history or English. I don't know whichever one you're comfortable with.
I prefer history.
Okay, because I can do math. I'm like, that's what I'll do. And then we can go from there, and then maybe use some of the stuff that we got in here to kind of go into it.
Okay.
And how about, those math packets that you use?
Yeah.
Can you send me one, and maybe we can kind of see how do you teach it? Like, what does your structure look like when you do those?
So how I do it is it's week by week,
Okay.
So it just depends on how the week goes. If I have right now we're on 8.2, so I'll do 8.2. And if they don't get it and it says 8.3, I'll reteach 8.2 until I won't drag it on. I usually 2 days, and then I have to move on. And then the next week I'll come back and try it again. But you'll just go that's how it'll go. It'll be.
So are you up there doing examples for them?
Oh, yeah.
And do you have them come up there? Do you have them do the work?
Sometimes I will. It just depends.
Depends on how the students are that day.
Usually
it's all sophomores, right?
Yeah.
A couple juniors maybe.
No. It's all sophomores.
Well, then Jordan's supposed to be there.
Yeah, but she's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all sophomores. All I do is just get up there. We do the bell work.
Yeah.
They know exactly what to do. They get their packet out. I write the page number up on the board. They get it out, and then I'll do 1 or 2 problems, and then I'll say, okay, everybody do number 16 or whatever. I'll just throw a problem that's way down there.
Yeah.
And then I'll have them do it, and then I'll kind of look at it and see, okay, who got the right answer. I feel like kids are well, I didn't get it. I understand what's going on. Then I'm like, all right, you guys work on what you need to, and I'll sit with them. I'll try to get 2 students, at least knock 2 students out to work one-on-one with.
Okay.
And then it's okay, you just do these 4 problems now. And see if they can get those 4, and then before we move on.
Okay.
Just so if they master it. Because I think that's the number one thing. So it's usually Bolton and Jonathan.
Yeah.
I usually say, hey, you do 4 problems.
Yeah.
And then I'll work with him for a minute and then get that going.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of them are kind of they just grasp real quick and they're just pulling away.
Okay.
Kelly, Jaren, Mark.
Yeah.
Destiny a little bit trouble sometimes, and then Julie, or not Julie, there's one other student in there, Kelly, she gets it, Jaren, Mark, There's somebody else, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I have Julie second period.
yeah, I'll show you the packet.
Okay.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
it from another alternative, just copied it, and I just, what they were doing, I kinda made my own format, and that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, vocab, daily objectives, lab, independent practice,
Mhm.
so,
Okay. That works then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just get to me then, and we can look at it and stuff like that. So